fueling station exception hearing for October 18th, 2023. Roll call, please. Here.
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 Okay, I'm going to move right into it to number 10 on the agenda, which is business exception hearing. Letter A, Sitco 5228 Columbia Avenue. Who's going to represent? Come on. Could you give us your name, sir?
Yeah, my name is Sonny Tawana.
Are you the
I'm
manager?
The owner's son.
The owner's son?
Son and manager.
Spell the last name for me.
Tiwana.
And it's Sunny, Sunny.
Yeah, correct.
And you're the owner's son.
Yeah, manager.
Okay. Give me 1 second, Sonny, before we start. Good morning. The next matter before the board is a request for an exception to Section F of Ordinance 9605 brought by the petitioner, Sitco. The petitioner has requested that the fueling station located at 5228 Columbia Avenue be excluded from the requirement within the city of Hammond that fueling stations be closed from midnight to 5 a.m. I would like to first determine whether or not proper notice has been given to the neighboring property owners by the petitioner. The requirement is that the petitioner give notice of today's hearing to all properties located within 300 feet of the petitioner's property. And Linda, do we got that? Okay. If anyone is present besides the petitioner to speak for or against the petitioner's request for an exception, can you make yourself known? Are you going to be the only one speaking on behalf of the gas station?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a question, Mr. President, regarding notice. Linda, those were sent about over, or at least a week ago. You know the date? Okay, yep, we're good.
Okay, how do you say your last name again?
Tawana.
Okay, Tawana. Mr. Tawana, I know you said you're going to be the only one speaking, but is your dad here today,
Yeah, he's
present? Okay, so if need be,
Yeah, if you
we
have
could
any
go to
questions,
him.
you can ask him.
Gotcha,
Yep.
okay. As a petitioner, you have the ability to now present to the board your rationale as to why you believe your fueling stations should be allowed the exception. As you know, there are several factors in the ordinance that the board will consider and weigh in making the determination, and I would ask you to be aware of those factors and to present your argument and evidence today with those factors in mind. So first of all, do you have any evidence you'd like to present the city and the board?
No, I do not.
Okay. Do you have any testimony or witnesses you'd like to call? We've already taken care of that. Could you raise your right hand for me, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Tawana? Do you swear that the testimony you will give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. In that case, I would like you to go ahead and begin with any argument that you have about the exception.
You know, for this location, we just want to be able to only close 12 to 3 instead of 12 to 5 because this is a neighborhood store. A lot of people, you know, they're going to work at between 4 and 5. So we wanted the extra 2 hours because on another note, we want to keep an employee there overnight just for safety reasons so no one breaks in. Because it's also like it's a really dark road. If the gas station's closed, there's nothing else there besides homes. And, you know, we feel that if there's no one there, people are going to start breaking in because we've had that incident happen in East Chicago before, that we had a store in Chicago Avenue where we would close it and people would just break in. So I think, you know, we have to keep an employee there and we have to pay him out of pocket. We're not making money during 12 to 5, but if you guys can just give us that 2 hours, you know, we can make a little bit back and then we can also keep someone there. And considering that it's a neighborhood store, if there's any emergency, you know, nobody has anywhere to go except for that gas station in that neighborhood. So that's all we're asking for in that location.
Okay.
So if I understand the request correctly, they're okay being closed from midnight to 3.
Yes, sir.
But would like to be open from 3 onward.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay, Mr. Tawana, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
That's it.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Tawana?
No.
Does the city?
I do.
Okay.
Mr. Tawana, you are the manager at this location.
Yes.
We've been unable to locate on the Secretary of State website a business that is registered at this location with the state. Do you know the corporate name of the property?
Yeah, it's Sam's Gas and Mini Mart, Inc.
S-A-M?
Yes.
Apostrophe S?
Yes.
Sam's Gas,
And Mini Mart?
like the ampersand sign?
No,
And or
just
is it A-N-D?
A&D,
A-N-D. Sam's Gas and Mini Mart,
Inc.
Inc.
Yeah.
Okay. And and it goes by what brand? Is it Citgo?
Citgo, yes.
Okay. So do you know if you've registered the Citgo Sitco and/or
So, yeah,
Golo, I'm sorry, it's also known as, got my notes here.
it was a Golo before, so
Golo,
maybe,
right, so
yeah.
we have it like, so in the city, they have it as Raceco Golo 102, is what the business license is under.
Yeah.
Does it go by that at all anymore?
No, we just changed the Sitco
Okay,
recently.
so, do you have any, okay, so it is not registered under that currently, you understand that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I don't have any other questions at this time.
I'll just follow up to, you said it just changed to Sidco. How long ago did that happen?
Earlier this year,
Early this year, so this, for sure this year.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you understand that you have an obligation to register it as an assumed business name with the state and the county as Sitco? You understand that?
Yeah, we'll do that as soon
And
as
that you'd have
possible.
to amend your business license with the city, so that right now it's under Raceco Golo 102, you'd want to let the city know immediately of the new name. And actually, it really should be, when you're doing the business licenses, do you understand that you should be filing it under Sam's Gas and Mini Mart Inc.?
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, we
just
can
because
change
that's
that,
what
yeah. We never have a problem, we are always up to date with our licenses, so we can change that, if there's any issue, we'll
Okay.
work with you guys.
Okay, if you have no further evidence, I will now let the city present their case regarding the exception. Mr. Smith, do you have any evidence or testimony you'd like to present?
Thank you, Mr. President and Board. Good morning. On behalf of the city, we do have some evidence. First, I'd like to present to the board Exhibit 1, which is the call log from the Hammond Police Department for the last 5 years for this location in date order. So it starts at January 2020 and goes through 10/4 of 2023. So if I could present that to the board, I'll give Mr. Tawana a copy. And I'd also like to call Sergeant Vergovi from the Hampton Department.
Sergeant Godey, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear that the testimony you will give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
Morning, Sergeant Godey, could you please state your name to the board and your position with the Hammond Police Department?
Good morning. My name is Christopher Godey, and I'm a police department.
Sergeant Godey, did you have occasion to visit at that time, did you meet with anyone, or did you just do an inspection? on your own?
No, I met with Sonny, Mr. Tawana.
Okay, and at that time, did you have a discussion with Mr. Tawana regarding the security and/or the camera situation at that location?
Yes.
And could you explain to the board what you discovered and what your findings were?
Yes, there is bullet-resistant glass to protect the employee at this location. The lighting is adequate, and they just installed within the last month, maybe even less than that, a brand-new security system, which is attached to Fusus already.
So it's already attached to Fusus?
It is.
Have you had any problems with that operating through the police department since they've installed it?
No.
Do you believe that their camera system that they have there is adequate, both on the location and it benefits the Hammond Police Department?
Yes.
As far as, I don't have any further questions of Sergeant Godey unless the board does.
I don't at this time. Mr. Tawana, do you have any questions for Sergeant Godey? No. Do you have any questions?
No.
No. We do not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just in summary, to kind of finish up this part of the presentation, as the board can see, it's pretty consistent regarding calls. I did see a couple weapon offenses, 1 and 21, and there's 1 in 22, 22H40900. Obviously, we don't have the backup on this. I don't know if Sergeant Godey has any additional information regarding any of those. You may not. Yep. Okay. And I also noticed in 23, and this goes to July 30th, there was a robbery reported at this location. And so I'm hoping that Mr. Tawana, when he comes back for a reply, he can address that. There's also listed on 8/6 rape at this location. And so obviously those are a little bit concerning because those are more than the regular situations. And so I'd like to make sure that Mr. Tawana, when he comes up, addresses those because those are of some concern. They're violent in nature and they are exactly the kind of thing that we don't want to be occurring at locations that are open overnight. Just looking at those real quick, I guess, let's just take a look at the times. The robbery was listed at 11:41 and the Rape was listed at 12:30 in the morning, so. All right, so that's Exhibit 1. I don't know if the board has any questions regarding my exhibit or, okay.
No, sir.
I'd like to call, if I could, Tom Novak, Assistant City Planner, to the stand. Oh, there you are, you snuck up on me.
Mr. Novak, if you could raise your right hand for me, please.
Yeah,
Do you swear that the testimony you will give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
I'd like to first present the board, I'm sorry, could you please introduce yourself, state your name, and describe your position?
Yeah, I'm Thomas Novak. I'm the Assistant City Planner in the City Planning Department.
And as part of your duties, Mr. Novak, did you have occasion to prepare a report regarding 5228 Columbia Avenue related to their exception request?
Yes, I did prepare a report this week.
Okay, and is this that report?
Yes, sir.
All right, did you take the photographs that are attached to the report?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I have given Mr. Tawana a copy of Exhibit 2, and I'd like to present that to the board.
Thank you.
Mr. Novak, so you were tasked with the request from the law department to go out and take a look at 5228 Columbia and determine what, if any, city ordinance or zoning violations were at that premises, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, could you go ahead and give a summary to the board of your report?
Okay, yeah, and I know we want to focus more on safety items, but I will start off with, there were some temporary signs on bollards, some signs on fences, which is prohibited. But as far as safety kind of stuff, so the windows were clear of signage, more so than most of the other gas stations we've looked at. I did have some concern with shelving blocking the view of the windows adjacent to the cash register, but
Did you take a photo of that? Is that this photo?
yes.
It's about 5 or 6, 7 pages in. It's the one with the open sign.
So, yeah, so it's not fully obfuscated, but it's,
And do you believe that would prevent either an employee from, or I'm sorry, the police officers, if they're just driving by, potentially from looking into the premises?
it could, yes.
All right, anything else, Mr. Novak, on your report? Have you had a chance to meet with the owner at this time, or yet, regarding these violations?
I have not spoken regarding these specific violations, but I have been in contact in the past, yeah. And then, other things like ADA parking, restriping the lot, so that people have a clear, noted area of where to park. There is ADA access, just no ADA parking. And then just other things like address numbers need to be posted on the side in front, large enough to see from the street. Put away some shelving inside. I did notice one of the either monitoring wells or utility access bulkheads. There was a bit of a pothole forming around it near the south entrance. They may want to look into that and see why it's degrading. It's not big enough, I think, to really cause damage yet, but just something for them to keep in mind. But that's, I think, the odds and sods of it, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Novak. So just, again, as kind of as, part of my presentation, I'd like to make sure that Exhibits 1 and 2 are made part of the record. Also, I guess regarding number 2, Exhibit 2, what I would mention is that even though we've heard about things like striping, you think, striping, big deal. It is important in this sense. If you have a lot that's properly striped, then cars are forced to kind of park correctly. Most people will park correctly. However, if someone is up to no good, sometimes they may just zoom in and just park sideways, and that would alert somebody, like, what's that car doing parking like that, right? So I think it's important to have proper striping, because it is, even though it's a traffic control and traffic safety, number one, but it also does, I think, help the police, if a patrol car is going by, to notice something that may look unusual if it's not parked regular. So I would just add that. So that's Exhibit 2. The last thing we have, I should say, is Exhibit 3 and 3A.
Mr. Smith, before you go into Exhibit 3, we didn't, Mr. Tawana, did you have any questions for Mr. Novak? You don't have any questions? Okay, I just want to make sure. Sorry.
No, thank you, and I
Okay,
apologize.
that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have Exhibits 3 and 3A. This is Mr. Farrell's report, and also from the controller, their report. I'd like to present that to the board after I give Mr. Tawana a copy of both. not present today, but I can summarize these and just let the board know that they do have a valid business license, but as I asked Mr. Tawana on cross-examination, it is a concern of the board, a concern of the cities that it is improperly licensed as Raceco Golo 102, and the proper licensing should be under their corporate name, because it's important to know the corporation, and also so that we can contact them correctly. So I would, this is something that I think is a concern, but I'm assuming that Mr. Tawana will correct this as he indicated. So I would just request that both 3 and 3A be made part of the record. And outside of, I would like to, if I could, as part of our case in chief, call Mr. Tawana up, or his father, whoever wants to come up, to just ask a couple of questions.
Mr. Tawana, can you approach the, yeah, thank you.
Mr. Tawana, good morning again. Just a couple questions. You've heard the concerns of Mr. Novak. Do you understand, or would you be willing to meet with Mr. Novak between now and November 1st to help start getting a plan to correct the issues that he has?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And did you want to explain to the board if you have any information about those two events that I
So,
brought up?
the first one was the robbery. We were having issues with one customer. He was I think he's a homeless guy. He stole a coffee, so we called the cops on him, and we just wanted to get him a restraining order on him for the property. And that was also at 11 PM,
Yeah, it was close.
So I don't think it, we're trying to stay open, from 3, so I don't, I don't see many issues from 3 on.
Could I ask you another question though about that that's listed as a robbery? So did the person have a weapon or no?
I don't think so.
Okay, it was just more of a theft?
Yeah, he
Or
sold a
was
few
it
coffees,
okay.
like a little creamers. Yeah.
Okay, and that was in July, I think, right?
Yeah.
All right, then what about the rape on August 6th? Do you know anything about that event?
The what?
There, on August 6th,
Uh-huh.
let's see,
It's right under the robbery.
this is one more page back.
It's 2 under the robbery.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Okay,
But, there's a few things that, I'm not sure about, because I've been on Fuses, we're the first gas stations on Fuses, all 3 of our gas stations. The first one's in Hammond, and, they can vouch for me on that. So, there's a lot of things that we don't know, because, they get the access without even asking us.
yeah, and I'm not asking you to know it, I just didn't know if you had any information.
No,
for
I
the
don't have
board.
any information, yeah.
Well, as a police officer, we get sense of robbery calls all the time to only find out it's theft, not robbery. So I understand how that could be. But the rape, do you know if it even occurred on your property?
I don't think-
Was it
yeah.
reported at your property?
I don't think so, yeah, we don't. Do
Crit,
you know about that?
Detective Matanovich, do you happen to know? If you don't know, I'd have to swear you in.
I don't.
Okay.
I can look into it, but it doesn't ring a bell, and it should, but it
Because it could have got reported there
I
instead of happening there, so I just want
Could
to know
you
the
read
difference.
the report number, just so both Detective Matanovich and Sergeant Godey have that?
Yeah, are you ready? Let me know when you're ready, Chris. If you could look into both, this is the robbery, 23 Henry, 49134, 49134. And the rape is 23 Henry, 50644. If you could please look into both of those for me. Okay.
Okay, and then, Mr. Tawana, would you agree that your property is not, this property, 5228 Columbia, is not close to the interstate, and is not like as you described it, it's more of a neighborhood station, not one that's visited by interstate travelers?
Correct.
Okay, that's all the questions I have, Mr. Tawana.
Does the board have any more questions for Mr. Tawana or the city?
I don't.
All right, thank you.
If you want to, Mr. Tawana, you just want to hang out right there for a second. If the city has no further evidence, the petitioner now has the opportunity to present any testimony or evidence in reply. You've already mentioned you don't have any evidence at this time. Do you have anything you'd like to present in reply, like a closing argument? We give you up to 5 minutes if you'd like to.
Yeah, I see the violations, what they want us to do. There's a lot of these things that we're working on right now, like restriping the concrete and whatnot. And we're open, we're always willing to work with the city, whatever they need, we never have an issue. So, we just hope you guys take into consideration everything I said, and whatever you guys think is best is okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Tawana.
thanks.
Okay, then if not, I will now give the city a chance to give a closing argument.
Thank you. As the board's aware, because I've done this a couple times now with you, I like to look at the factors and just review them with the board, kind of in summary. The first is incidents of criminal acts and police calls over the last 5 years with emphasis on the last 24 months. I've given you that in Exhibit 1. There's been 2 concerns regarding violent acts. Sergeant Godey has had the opportunity to kind of look those up. The reason the robbery was listed as that is that the person who Mr. Tawana described as homeless, stealing creamers and things like that, pushed so that was the assault portion of it, that resulted in it being charged as a robbery. The rape was a situation where a woman arrived from Chicago and reported it at the station.
Okay.
So it didn't occur on property, according to, if I'm characterizing that correctly. Okay. So otherwise, though, it does seem to have a consistent call log. In my opinion, a little bit surprising for that location, given kind of we've had other calls, I think, that have been less at more what I would consider busy locations. So for a neighborhood station, I guess the call log seems to be a little heavy, but it's presented to the board for their review. Number 2 is whether the fueling station is part of the FUSIS program. You know, obviously, Mr. Tawana has got the station as part of it. He indicated it was one of the first ones in the city to do so, and Sergeant Godey confirmed that the FUSIS program is up and running, so that's a factor, I think, in this gas station's favor. 3, whether or not there's an adequate security presence overnight. I appreciate what Mr. Tawana indicated, that they're willing to be closed midnight to 3. I think that's another, good factor in their favor regarding this exception hearing, and it sounds like they are going to keep someone on duty during that time, which will help with security presence, and also somebody obviously that could contact the police if something is happening. Next matter is number 4, whether it's in a residential area versus a commercial or industrial area. That area is kind of interesting, right? Because the sanitary district's right there, so I'd kind of consider it almost like a hybrid. There's residences to the west and to the south, right. But nothing to the north and nothing to the east, I don't think. Mr. Tawana admitted that it's not a fueling station that considered to be easily accessible by interstate travelers, which is factor 5. Factor 6 is regarding ordinance violations. I appreciate, again, Mr. Novak and Mr. Farrell giving us the information. I would strongly request the board to make as a condition of any exception, if they would grant this exception, to require Mr. Tawana to meet with Mr. Novak and to also make sure he amends his business license and that he registers properly with the state that this location is a Sitco, because we couldn't find it, under I think it was Race Code GOLO 102. That is not a registered entity with the state. And then adequate lighting is number 7. I believe Sergeant Godey and Mr. Tawana both testified that the lighting is adequate at this location. I spoke about factor 8 just now about licensing, and those, I don't have any other factors to describe with the board regarding this location. Given that Mr. Tawana is willing to close midnight to 3, I'm sure that will weigh heavily with the board's decision, and the city believes that. I guess the city's position on this station is that because it's not near an interstate and because it's there's really no necessary reason for it to be open overnight, we kind of weigh on the side of that it should be closed. However, I do factor in the fact that Mr. Tawana requested only to be open 3 to 5. I think that's a big positive in this request. So I would just rest on what I've been given to the board and what I presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentations today. The board will now take this matter under advisement. The board will notify the petitioner in writing of its ruling by regular, certified, and electronic mail within 10 days of this hearing. If an exception is granted, it shall be valid for 1 year from the date of the determination and is subject to revocation if any circumstances change. Additionally, you must reapply for the exception annually if it's granted. Mr. Tawana, do you understand that part? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're now going to move to letter B, which is Sitco at 4450 Calumet Avenue. Mr. Tawana, are you going to be the only one speaking on behalf of the gas station. Is there anybody here to speak against the gas station? Okay. I know this is repetitive and it might be boring, but we're going to stay consistent with it. So, good morning. The next matter before the board is a request for an exception to Section F of Ordinance 9605, brought by the petitioner, Sitco. The petitioner has requested that the fueling station located at 4450 Calumet Avenue be excluded from the requirement within the city of Hammond that fueling stations be closed from midnight to 5 a.m. I would like to first determine whether or not proper notice has been given to the neighboring property owners by the petitioner. The requirement is that the petitioner give notice of today's hearing to all properties located within 300 feet of the petitioner's property. And Linda, did we receive that notice?
Yes, it was mailed out October 12th.
Thank you. We've already asked if there's anybody to speak other than Mr. Tawana. He's already made that clear. He's the only one. As the petitioner, you have the ability to now present to the board your rationale as to why you believe your fueling station should be allowed the exception. As you know, there are several factors in the ordinance that the board will consider and weigh in making a determination, and I would ask you to be aware of those factors and to present your argument and evidence today with those factors in mind. Do you have any evidence or testimony you'd like to offer at this time? Do you have anything you want to say? I would imagine you have something to say. You don't have any evidence though, right? Just, okay. And I've already swore you in, Mr. Tawana, so you can go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah, so for this location, we want to stay open overnight. We're the first gas station off the toll road, about a half a mile. But, there's a gas station in front of us, but we're closer. And we're really close to the train station, so we have a lot of, people traveling, a lot of people going to work. So I think it's important for us to stay open, in case there's an emergency on the highway or anything. We have, a good bathroom, we have good lighting. We got brand-new lights at all of our locations around, on the canopy, everywhere, inside, LED lights, and we got brand-new camera systems at every location that we have. And, I think the police officers and the detectives, they can vouch that we probably have the best cameras, in Hammond. We're also on Fusus in that, too. We've been on it for a couple months now. Even before this whole thing happened, we were on it, so that's important. Yeah,
You're finished?
yeah.
Okay. Does the city have any questions of Mr. Tawana?
I do. Mr. Tawana, just as a business owner, have you encountered any negative experience with Fusus to date?
I haven't,
Okay.
yeah.
There was testimony from another gas station, there was a concern about, Fusus being able to somehow interact with the credit card process. Has that been any concern of yours? Have you seen any indication that that's an issue?
It's a concern, but I haven't experienced it, so not yet.
Okay.
Until something happens, then maybe it'll change my mind, but no, we haven't experienced anything bad. It's just been positive for us, because we're not getting calls in the middle of the night anymore, and we have before. We were getting calls in the middle of the night, and we would actually come in and, give police the access to our cameras, but
And
kind of
now
makes it
you have
easier.
access, so you don't have to come out in the middle of the night?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And are you someone that works there at this location overnight at all? Are you there at times?
I
between
have
9 and
been
5?
there overnight,
Okay.
but not currently.
Yeah, have you ever experienced situations where people from the train, if they've arrived after midnight, come to the gas station?
No, not really.
Okay, so it's not, I know you mentioned it was close to the train station, and I know sometimes the trains do run late. I just was curious of whether or not.
We have more of the people from the train in the mornings,
Morning.
yeah.
And when does that usually start?
I think the first train arrives at 4:45, 4:30.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it would be sometime around 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And have you experienced any issues, or do you know of any issues, I should say, as the owner or manager, of any violent activity at this location in the last 5 years?
There's theft here and there. Every business, every gas station in Hammond is gonna have theft, is gonna have incidents, car accidents, carjackings. A lot of people leave their cars running, come inside, and that's how the cars are stolen. They leave it running, and that, it's gonna happen anywhere, but I think, in this city, it happens a little bit more than, let's say, Munster or Highland. But besides those, those are the main things.
Okay, do you recall any violent incident at this location?
I don't.
Okay. Similar issue with the licensing.
yeah.
It's licensed under Race Code GOLO 101.
Yeah,
So could you tell me what the corporate name of this location is?
the corporate name,
Yeah, but,
it's a Citgo, but it's doing business as Citgo,
right,
but it's the same corporate name. They're,
okay. So we,
Sir, yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'll have to swear you, I'll have to swear you.
I am
in.
the owner of that place.
If you could keep your right hand up, please.
Oh, sure.
Do you swear that the testimony you will give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
could we have his name?
Sarvan Tivana, first name Sarvan,
Okay,
last name Tivana.
okay.
Can you-
Tuan is your last name?
Yes,
Could you spell your first name for me?
Sarwan.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead with what you had to
I
say.
have that location for a long time, more than 20 years, even the Columbia location. When we opened, we had the corporation, Sam's Gas and Mini Mart Inc. You already have that.
Sam's
The Gas and Mini Mart Inc.
Gas and.
Yeah, you
So
have
the
that.
same corporation.
Same
owns both.
corporation on both. And then the DBA name is Raceco, 101 and 102. We put the Raceco, we put sometime, we used to have a Golo sign. So we put a Golo front, then say Raceco. Raceco is our registered with the state and with city. That's what we have. Sam's Gas,
There's nothing with the state, sir, under Race Code.
yeah, but yes.
You believe there is?
Yeah, it's a DBA. I have the license give to the city. They do have that.
It may be because we didn't have Sam's Mini Mart, so if it's a.
No, Sam's
DBA,
is the corporation. DBA
That's-
is
That's my
Raceco.
thought, too.
Yeah, DBA is Raceco, Sam's is the corporation.
Okay,
They, under both Racecos are under Sam's.
okay,
That's the reason, that's why
Okay.
Raceco comes.
I got you.
And we put Citgo and Golo, we used to have Golo sign, so now we have Citgo sign. Signs always change sometime. When you buy different gas from different company, the sign change. If I buy from Shell, it's going to Shell sign over there. But I'm buying from Citgo, now Citgo gas there, so Citgo. So when I registered with the city, I put a front, I put Citgo, then Raceco 101, under Sam's Gas and Mini Mart. That's what we apply for that. I think that's correct, but if we had to change, we can do whatever the city wanted.
We just need to confirm that at this point, that it's been registered with the state, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna probably do some research into Sam's Mini Mart.
I can send you my,
Gas and Mini Mart Inc.
I can send you my sales permit, sales license
I
from
can
that.
look it up.
Yeah,
It's
if
fine.
you want.
I can look it up. I just wanna
Yes.
make sure that, and I think that was the issue, because with the city, we only have it as Race
Cool.
Co. GOLO 101 and
Yeah,
Race
one-
Co.
102.
GOLO 102.
Yes, that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why I want to
So
correct.
if it is registered with the
Yes,
state, you would still need to change it with the city. You understand
Yes.
that part? Okay,
Yes.
In
okay.
other words, you should register for your business license with the city under the corporate name, and then also put the DBA.
I will put both.
Right.
Yes.
I put both.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tawana.
No, thank you
Okay.
so much.
Do you have anything else from Mr. Tawana?
I do not.
Okay, does the board have anything?
Yes. Sir, you said you manage the Sicko over here on Columbia.
Yeah.
Do you also manage this one, and are you split in between two areas, or are you at one specific area?
I'm at both, yeah.
All right, like equal time, or,
Yeah, we have 3 locations. I'm at all 3 of them every day.
okay.
Yeah, so I kind of manage those, all of them.
Okay, if you don't have any further testimony, you can go ahead and have a seat. If you're,
I had one follow-up.
Sorry,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead, that's okay.
Is there any sort of like a mini mart at this location?
It's a convenience store.
Convenience store. So, is that something that, is as busy as your gas station, or less busy, or how does it work between the two? You know,
I think
what
they're-
volume-wise, revenue-wise? Mini mart versus gas?
I mean, gas is a little bit more busy, yeah.
Okay. And there's also a, gas station right across the street.
Yes,
They had an exception hearing last week.
yes.
At this time, are you both, they've requested to be open overnight. Are they open overnight as well currently?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
okay. You can have a seat, Mr. Tawana. If you have no further evidence, I will now let the city present their case regarding the exception. Mr. Smith, go ahead.
Thank you, Board. Again, good morning. We do have Exhibit 1, which is the call log. I'll give that to Mr. Tawana as well as giving it to the board.
Thank you.
And just for the board, again, this is the call log given by the Hammond Police Department, it's dated from 1/10 of 2020 through 10/9 of 2023. It seems that the calls do appear to be consistent, about somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 calls a year. And kind of ironically, less calls than the one on Columbia. You know, I would have thought this one would have been more, truthfully. I don't see any extreme violent incidents at this. I think the worst one I saw was a battery. And that occurred this year, but other than that, it doesn't seem anything that I would consider to be extremely violent. So that's kind of my summary of Exhibit 1. I'd like to call Sergeant Godey, who's already been sworn to the stand. Sergeant Godey, good morning again. Did you have occasion to visit this location, 4450 or 4448 Calumet Avenue?
Yes,
All right, and at that time, did you have occasion to meet with the manager, Mr. Tawana?
yes.
Could you describe your examination and investigation into the security at this location?
Yes, this location is also equipped with the bullet-resistant glass where the employees are behind where the registers are at. The lighting indoors and outdoors appears adequate. They are connected to Fusus. They have 20 high-definition cameras, both indoors and outdoors, and they are functioning without any interruption.
And have you had any negative experiences with this location as it relates to technology and their use of fuses?
No.
I don't have any other questions for Sergeant Godey.
Anything? Mr. Tawana? Oh, sorry.
I just had one quick question. Sarge, you said there was 20 inside and out. Is that abnormal, a lot more than the other gas stations that we've had?
It's not abnormal. It is more than most gas stations have, yes.
Okay, that's what, thank you. Okay, good, thanks.
Mr. Tawana, do you have any questions for Sergeant Godey? Okay, thank you, Sergeant Godey.
Thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to call Mr. Novak. And by the way, I think, I'm sorry, I was going to release Sergeant Godey, but I think we've got one more.
One more, yeah.
I'd like to call Mr. Novak to the stand. He's already been sworn. Mr. Novak, did you have occasion to go to 4448, AKA 4450 Calumet Avenue to the Citgo?
Yes, I visited on Monday afternoon.
And did you make a report and take photos at that time?
Yes, I did.
And is your report what I marked as Exhibit 2?
Yes, it is, sir.
Okay, so could you go ahead and give a summary to the board regarding your safety concerns and potential ordinance violations at this location?
Okay, so like the other place, there was signs on fences, which is prohibited. Signage is not blocking more than, 25% of the window panes. The windows are pretty clear, more so than other stores we've had. There is some shelving and some blacked out windows, but I think those blacked out windows might correspond to a back office or back room. So, I mean, we can work with him on that, but, again, no striping of parking spaces, no ADA space, although they do have an ADA ramp into the building. And then just some housekeeping things, like the chain link fence is sagging in the alley, empty the dumpster more often, paint any, rusty bollards, stuff like that. But overall, pretty well-kept property. Do want to mention again, legible addresses at the front and rear need to be posted, at the alley in front, more visibly so. And then, like other gas stations, we've asked that please remove the abandoned payphone that you guys have. There was a dumpster enclosure. This is the first gas station I've seen with one. We would want to see that duplicated at the other stations, so,
All right, thank you.
yeah.
Mr. Tawana, do you have any questions for Mr. Novak? Does the board have any questions? Okay.
So, next thing I'd like to do is present Exhibit 3 and 4 to the board. This has to do with the licensing. I will give a copy of Exhibits 3 and 4 to Mr. Tawana. And to the board.
Thank you.
This highlights the issue that I brought up. I know that Sarwan Tawana, Mr. Tawana Senior, indicated kind of what the issue is here, and we're gonna look into that. It's just that Mr. Farrell in his report was unable to locate the Raceco Golo on the state website because he didn't have the information regarding Sam's Gas and Mini Mart. So we're gonna look into that, and I would assume that we can get that corrected. Otherwise, this location has been licensed from 2005 through 2024, with, I think, a small glitch in 2016 and 17, but it doesn't appear there were any late fees, so I'm assuming that might be internal. So that's all I have on that. And then I'll just wait for closing. I don't have any other evidence, but thank you to the board for allowing me to present.
Thank you. Do you guys have any questions of the city? We have a question about the address, Mr. Smith.
Sure.
Is it 4040, 4448, or 4850?
So the GIS and the parcel number is assigned 4448. We don't show a 4450 in the city's address, kind of like catalog. So the county shows it as 4448.
Okay.
That would be something that we'd like the station to resolve and hopefully change and put on both front and back 4448. That's the parcel number. That's what it is in the county.
Okay.
So,
Okay. If the city has no further evidence, the petitioner now has the opportunity to present any testimony or evidence in reply. Mr. Tawana, do you wish to make a closing argument? And before you start, do you recognize the address as 4448 or 4450?
4450 always.
Okay.
Yeah, we've never had issues with that till now.
We would like you to check into that at some
Yeah,
point and see
definitely
what
check
it is, and whatever it is, make sure it's visible on the front and back.
Okay,
Okay.
definitely.
And you can go ahead, Mr. Tawana.
Yeah, I think along with the other sort that was previously mentioned, we're working on both of them, striping it, repainting everything, so, and anything else, I'll talk to Tom and we'll figure all that out. As you saw, we didn't have that much violence there, many police calls, only 20 a year, which is, compared to others, is nothing, I feel like. So we hope that, you guys take that into consideration along with, how many cameras we have, the quality, and, how much we work together with all the detectives and police. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tawana. The city can go ahead.
thank you. And just wanting to go through the factors for the record, because that's what's in ordinance 9605 and what the board is to consider, of course, along with the testimony evidence that it's been given today. The factors, whoops, lost my place. Here we go. Incidents of criminal acts and police calls, I've given the board Exhibit 1. That summarizes it. As I've indicated and Mr. Tawana has indicated, we don't believe there's any considerable evidence of violent acts, and the calls are approximately 20 per year. Next factor is whether it's part of the FUSIS program, and factor 3 is security. So taking those together, Sergeant Godey's testimony along with Mr. Tawana's testimony is that it is part, and that the cameras are good quality cameras. Factor 4, whether it's in a residential area versus commercial or industrial. This is the first fueling station southbound off the Calumet Avenue toll road exit, which is about at 141st, I think. So then this is like 3.5 blocks to the south. And it is the first one that you arrive at. And another thing that Mr. Tawana pointed out that I didn't really think about is the fact that it does service commuters. And it is a station that's close to the South Shore Station. So that's factor 4, and 4, I guess that's factor 5 about the interstate travel. Factor 4 is whether it's in a residential area. I would consider this a residential area on a commercial strip. There are residences to the to the north, west on Baltimore, or I'm sorry, Torrance. Would that be Torrance or Baltimore? Baltimore, thank
Yeah.
you. But they have been noticed, and we don't have anybody here today. Ordinance violations, Tom's gone through those in his report. The licensing part we've talked about, and it sounds like that we're going to get that resolved. Adequate lighting, I think both Mr. Tawana and Sergeant Godey indicated that the lighting was adequate here. And so I would allow the board to weigh those factors and determine whether or not this property should be allowed to be open from midnight to 5, with conditions, including those that relate to its license and ordinance violations, that those be resolved as part of any condition if the board does grant this exception. Thank you.
Okay, again, thank you for your presentations today. The board will now take this matter under advisement. The board will notify the petitioner in writing of its ruling by regular, certified, and electronic mail within 10 days of this hearing. If an exception is granted, it shall be valid for 1 year from the date of determination and is subject to revocation if any circumstances change. Additionally, you must reapply for the exception annually if it's granted. Okay, we're now going to move on to letter C, which is the Citgo located at 403 Goslin. Mr. Tawana, if you could approach the, Mr. Tawana, if you could go ahead and approach the podium. Good morning. The next matter before the board is a request for an exception to Section F of Ordinance 9605, brought by the petitioner Citgo. Petitioner has requested the fueling station located at 403 Goslin be excluded from the requirement within the city of Hammond that fueling stations be closed from midnight to 5 a.m. I would like to first determine whether or not proper notice has been given to the neighboring property owners by the petitioner. The requirements is that the petitioner give notice of today's hearing to all properties located within 300 feet of the petitioner's property line. And Linda, was that given?
Yes, October 12th.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, Mr. Tawana, you can go ahead with your argument, please.
Yeah, so this location, we just put a new building up this year, and a part of that, we agreed with the city in the BZA meeting that we would be closed 11:30 to 3:30, so we just want to keep that as is. So I don't know if this new law even will affect that or not.
Yeah, so just, I guess, the city's position on this, and by the way, just to clarify, Mr. Tawana, when you went before the Board of Zoning Appeals, we have it listed as Tawana Petroleum, Inc. So this is that accurate?
That's the corporation name, yeah.
Okay, so this is not Sam's.
No, this is, yeah, I'm the owner of this one.
Gotcha.
So, paragraph E of the ordinance, I think, applies, which states, an automobile fueling station granted a variance by the common council, variance of use by the common council upon recommendation by the Board of Zoning Appeals must adhere to the hours of operation conditioned in the variance of use or as set forth in any other agreement with the city. I would present to the board, Linda will get a copy of the board of this document, which is dated April 12th of 2022. And just to be clear, Mr. Tawana indicated he thought the hours that they were supposed to be closed were 11:30 to 3:30. The agreement is 11:30 to 4:30.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
11:30 to 4:30.
Yeah,
You understand?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds to me that the exception wouldn't apply, and so unless Mr. Tawana is going to withdraw the request and just agree that, I think he said he's agreeing to the
Yeah.
agreement. I don't think there's any need for the board. The board, I think, can show this denied or withdrawn if he wants to withdraw it. It's up to him.
So I guess my question to you, Mr. Tawana, is on the record, do you wish to withdraw your request?
Yeah, we can
For
do
this
that.
particular, for 403 Goslin?
Yeah,
You do?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, no objection to that, we'll show it withdrawn.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tawana. Right. Okay, the meeting's open to the public. I don't think there's anybody here that's going to speak. You found it?
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, everyone.